think about 100.
Do what?
About 100. Not that high.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around there. All right, take a deep breath. Get you to get settled first. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
And let's go to work. One in front of the other. Good balance, good posture. Good balance, good posture. There you go. Better, better, better.
Thank God it's not the brain or the muscles, you know.
Yeah.
So just go let some specialists figure the rest of it out. It'd be great.
Then get you ready and get you walking good.
Get back into that workout, man.
And throw your hook 'em. Imagine you got the whole crowd here looking at you. Everybody's yelling. The whole crowd. Then they'll do the coin toss. All right, then we just turn around and you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to work.
The Earl Campbell story has been told as a cautionary tale. Football's premier power back, whose body broke down under the stress of his running style. But that's not the Earl Campbell story. And as it turns out, the hits he absorbed on the field are just a small part of all he has overcome. His shoulders no longer carry the burden of a poor upbringing. His back is recovering from genetic disease and surgeries that put him in a wheelchair. His knees have been replaced after a lifetime of hard labor. And his hands hold steady after years of hidden addictions.
Good. Back up again. Squeeze. Good. Come down into control.
Earl Campbell is back on his feet.
Let's get it done.
And once again, he's proving impossible to bring down.
You're going to be a football player when you grow up.
Today is the best day of your life. Believe it.
He might be the finest quarterback produced in the last 10 years.
He needs to be like, that's all I need.
Fortunately for me, I didn't lose my life. I didn't lose my job. Football convinced me that life is a team game.
Rest of your life, nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it.
Tyler, Texas, the rose capital of the world, and where the legend of Earl Christian Campbell took root.
In the summer, it was too hot. In the winter, it was too cold. And when it rained, Mom used to set buckets around us and stuff like that. And we always tell a joke that we could see the Big Dipper when you lay down at night.
When it came to family, everyone looked up to Father, B.C. Campbell.
What a guy. And I tell everybody, if you want to know who B.C. Campbell was, and I never could watch this show really, and that show was George Jefferson.
He was about 5'5" or 5'6", short man, but a broad man, a hard-working man. His main thing was growing roses. That's what he did.
The 11 Campbell children helped their father work in the rose fields. Although the sixth oldest, Earl, wasn't particularly good at it.
Oh, man, don't even go there because he was so sorry.
Yeah, he was a little lazy. I mean, he wasn't one of the best workers in those fields, I must tell you that.
I would be trying to figure out how long could I stay out here not doing anything. That wasn't part of me. I wanted to do more than that, and I know I could.
When Earl was 11, the family of rose pickers lost its patriarch. B.C. died of a heart attack at age 50.
My mother probably waited about 3-4 days. And she says, oh, y'all come in. All the kids, come on. Everybody, come on in here. We're going to continue to work for the white man in the rose field. if any of you ever get in trouble with that white man and go downtown, I will never pay a dime to get you out of jail.
Ma Campbell's fears nearly came true when Earl was a teenager.
Smoking cigarettes and drinking a little beer and hanging out with some guys right down this road here that I didn't like. And I just sit him down and talked to him, told him that he was on his way to getting involved with the police. He probably would have to pay a fine. If he did, he'd have to pay it.
I say, Mom, I'm gonna make it in pro football. I'm gonna build your house so you cannot see the Big Dipper. She said, Earl, nah, you don't have to build me no house. I said, no, Mom, I'm gonna make it. You watch, I'm gonna build your house. I saw a guy one time with bow legs like mine. I wanted to be the next Dick Buckers. I wanted to be a linebacker, so I played it. One day, our head coach, Clark and Nelson, decided we needed a running back. For some reason, they picked me. I just didn't like it. I'd run up to the line of scrimmage, drop the ball. I'd run up the line of scrimmage, just fumble it. You know, I just didn't want to do that. I finally made up my mind that that's what I want to do. I want to be a running back.
His senior year, Earl led John Tyler High School to its first state championship in 43 years. In the finals at the Houston Astrodome, Campbell scored the winning touchdown. Earl had fast become a high school phenom and one of the top recruits in the country.
I stayed at the Ramada Inn in Tyler, Texas, room 164, for 17 days for $12 a night. He was the most dominant high school football player I had seen, and probably ever seen.
Campbell left Tyler for Austin. He was still in the same state, but in a very different world.
When we first moved into the dorm, you know, it was like some of the guys might take half a day to get all their stuff into their room. Earl had like 2 pairs of jeans and a couple pair of underwear and some T-shirts, and that was it.
Earl counted on financial support from his high school girlfriend.
When I graduated from John Tyler, I attended a vocational nursing school. I would send Earl money.
In the classroom, Earl leaned on the advice of his mother.
My mom was saying, you can do what you want to. Sit in the front of class, the teacher gonna see you, she gonna think you know what's going on, even if you don't.
On the football field, Coach Darrell Royal did his best to help the Tyler Rows flourish. Earl had plenty of support in Austin, but there was always one piece missing.
Something was still hard to get used to is coming out of the dressing room after a great game on Saturday, and there's people want your autograph, and you give it to them, and you walk a little further, and you see majority of your teammates with their parents, with their father. You know, that was kind of hard. You know, to be able to have a father would be terrific.
Coming up, Earl finds success at Texas and a father figure in Houston. Today, Earl Campbell is a Texas legend. But in 1976, he was hardly a household name, especially after suffering a major injury his junior year of college.
I tore my right hamstring and loose from the cheek of my rear. I didn't get to play the rest of the season. And that's why nobody really heard about this Earl Campbell as much, because of that junior year.
I think it's interesting in retrospect that going into 1977, people, I don't think Earl had quite lived up to the expectations that people had of him.
But Fred Akers, who replaced Darrell Royal as Texas head coach, had a plan.
I told him, I said, look, we're going to hand it to you. We're going to pitch it to you.
We're going to throw it to you.
But Earl, I'm going to tell you what. You're going to have to drop 25 pounds.
He was overweight. That's how that hamstring got taxed too much.
Campbell got himself into top physical condition with the goal of raising college football's most prestigious hardware, the Heisman Trophy. But the night before the 8th game of his senior season, he was bedridden with a 104-degree fever.
Coach Akers was trying to make a decision on about playing or not playing, and I said, I'm going to play football. And I played football with it.
Earl ran for 173 yards, scored 3 touchdowns, and introduced himself to Bevo, the Texas Longhorn mascot.
He didn't run into Bevo. He knocked Bevo on his ass. Bevo just went straight to the ground and then turned his head and went, "Who are you?" They said, "Meet Mr. Campbell. I've done this to a lot of guys."
Heisman Trophy, and it goes to Earl Campbell of the University of Texas.
You know, when I was a kid and I'd get in trouble, I'd always say, "Hey, Mom, I'm in trouble," you know, so, "Mom, I'm in trouble, I don't have anything to say."
Earl would not have to travel far to play in the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded the first pick in the 1978 draft to a playoff contender, the Houston Oilers.
My wife calls me. She said, "Isn't it great?" I said, "Well, isn't what great?" She said, "We got Earl Campbell." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You hadn't heard? We were traded for the #1 pick." Right there, I started screaming, "Hey!" They thought I was having a heart attack in the hotel. I could not believe it.
Earl, have you set any goals for your rookie year?
Yeah, to mix with my teammates and them to accept me as a human being as well as a football player, because I enjoy people. I do not like to be alone, you know.
Earl had little problem fitting in with the NFL's most fun-loving team and the league's most gregarious head coach, Bum Phillips.
They like the same thing, same music. Well, you had to like Bum's jokes because he was unbelievable, but everything was the same.
Well, I'm going to spend some time learning, you know, but I hope I play a lot of football, and I think I fit into the system here all right.
Campbell's transition to the pros had its challenges.
1,001, 1,002. Earl! Mercy.
Andy Bourgeois was our running back coach.
Okay.
And they put 4 cones in a block, just like a square block. You sprint to the end, you karaoke to the end, you back up to the end, and you sprint out.
And the first time he ran it, he fell down when he went backwards. I didn't know it, I wasn't watching, and Andy made him do it again. He fell down the second time. And practice was over, he came over and said, "Mom," he said, "when he got to going backwards, he fell down both times." I said, "Andy, don't worry about it. We're not going to ask him to run backwards."
Opening day 1978, Campbell proved to his coaching staff that he had no problem running forward on his very first play as a pro.
Pass ready, retreats to throw. Quick out to Campbell, has a blocker in front at the 30, 35, 40, 45, he's open. 50, 45, 40, 35, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Earl Campbell.
Campbell's Oilers were not a team in the national spotlight. But that all changed when the Miami Dolphins, and Monday Night Football came to town in what would become the birth of Houston's Love You Blue era.
That's what people around the nation couldn't get over, because they could see it. Love You Blue, and that song played, and the song played. And, you know, Shula and them were good. They were always good. And nobody expected Earl to do what he did, but he did it inside, and he also did it out.
Campbell, he has great speed, and he has tremendous speed.
I can remember those plays because that defensive end would go out, and that'd leave me on the secondary, you know, and I'd have such a steam going. No secondary wanted, one guy wanted that.
If there were any football fans left in America who didn't know Earl Campbell's name, they were about to learn it.
Touchdown, Houston, Earl Campbell. What a game. And the crowd is beside itself. Look at
The Oilers were on the brink of one of the great wins in franchise history. All they needed was a first down.
On 2nd and 8. Campbell just outruns everyone to the right. Look out. He's gone. He is all the way. Puts his head down. 80-yard touchdown. This is over. What a show this man has put on tonight. What you've seen tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is a truly great football player. In the late moments, take total personal command of a game.
I looked at that sideline, it looked like it was 300 yards away. I was saying, ah, damn, I'm gonna get back.
Look at those statistics. 199 yards, 28 rushes, 4 touchdowns. An extraordinary personal performance, an extraordinary team performance, and our congratulations to an exceptional Houston football team.
Up next, the team that stood between Earl Campbell and the Super Bowl.
There was not anything that ever saw Earl that he really couldn't succeed in. He could not sing.
Well, if I do it my way, what is since Willis not here? Well, I should have gone fishing. I got to thinking it over. The road to the river is a mighty long way.
Do you know the story of when he had to stand up and sing a song?
No.
He had to sing a song in front of the whole team.
No, I didn't. What'd you say?
Mama,
Don't
let your babies grow up to be cowboys.
Earl Campbell was not a cowboy, but on Thanksgiving Day in 1979, he beat the Oilers' in-state rival and solidified his status as a Texas folk hero.
We grew up with no trophies in the house, so a lot of the stuff that I learned about my dad, I learned from my friends' parents. To go over to your friend's parents' house and they have game footage. It was like he's inhuman.
I thought it was kind of girlish for one guy to tackle me. I mean, I wanted to have a bunch of them.
They would show him running the ball, then they would back it up in reverse and show all the people he had run over. I see him run over people, and then I see him run around him, and I never saw him get caught from behind.
When there was 4 minutes left of the game, we were ahead and we had the ball, it was over. You know, he ran so low that there was nothing to tackle.
We were at an autograph show in Ohio. It was the first time I ever went to an autograph show with my dad, because he never let the kids go to these autograph shows and meet all these people. He never wanted that. So it was a spotlight that we never got to see. So I finally got to see it when I graduated from college. And Jim Brown is backstage. And for me as a kid, I was raised to say that Jim Brown was the greatest. He was the best. Jim Brown tells me, and he tells everybody else that's up there, best running backs. You put Jim Brown first, and you put Earl Campbell second. The rest of them, you can put them in line any way that you want to. Jim Brown saying, my dad's second, the rest you can put them wherever you want to. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
In Campbell's first 2 seasons, the only people keeping the Oilers in second place were the Steelers. Both years, Campbell won league MVP honors, but missed out on the Super Bowl after getting iced in Pittsburgh.
I honestly thought there was going to be some way that they were going to sweep something off of that field, but it didn't happen.
We could defend their wide receivers, lock them down with one player, and we could focus all of our attention on Earl.
The Oilers did not score a touchdown in the first game. Campbell was held to 15 yards in the second.
Coming back from those games was probably the most memorable thing.
The Oilers arrived home to thousands of fans at the airport in an Astrodome packed beyond capacity.
Those people in Houston, I'm telling you, I have never, ever seen so many people. I seen Pastorini sneak out there and get on a motorcycle with a cop. I said, I'm gonna do that.
In 1980, the Oilers rode Earl Campbell. He carried the ball 373 times for 1,934 yards. But when the offense began to sputter, Bum Phillips heard criticism that he was overworking Campbell.
I never felt like that he carried the ball too much, and he didn't either. Believe me, every time Earl carried the ball, he wanted to carry it. And he's so good, if he wants to carry it, you let him carry it. And he never got hurt. He hurt people. He didn't get hurt.
In the playoffs, the Oilers were stymied by the Oakland Raiders. The end result was not just a stunning end to the season, but a loss even more shocking. In 1980, for the third year in a row, the Oilers were knocked out of the playoffs by the eventual Super Bowl champion.
I remember Wade Phillips saying to me the next day, they got his dad. I thought he was joking, but you don't joke like that.
It was not a joke. The Oilers had said goodbye to head coach Bum Phillips. 4 years later, they welcomed quarterback Warren Moon. The Oilers were becoming a passing team, and Earl Campbell was becoming expendable. He was still a Texas State hero, but for the first time, the next step in his football career was unclear.
Campbell, can I get you out of here?
I get to my car, Radio is on, country music playing.
Together all our lives.
All of a sudden, you hear Earl Campbell got traded. I said, that's me.
Earl Campbell was no longer playing in Texas, but all was not unfamiliar. The trade reunited him with head coach Bum Phillips.
I really have mixed emotion about the Earl Campbell trade because I think Bum is really trading for what Earl once was, but I don't think he's still the same Earl that he was then.
In New Orleans, Campbell was indeed a step behind. So were the Saints.
We didn't have as good football players at New Orleans as we had at Houston. I mean, you can be a great running back, but if you got no place to run, you just got no place to run.
I went in Bum's office and I said, I kind of wanted to just tell him, to hell with it. I'm tired of everything. And he said, you're an athlete, you're a competitor. Till I say quit, you don't quit.
4 days before Thanksgiving, Bum Phillips paid one last tribute to the greatest running back he ever had. In 18 previous games with the Saints, Campbell had never carried the ball more than 14 times. On this day, he ran 35 times for 160 yards. When it was over, Phillips had seen enough.
Effective today, I've resigned as the head football coach and general manager of the New Orleans Saints. And the decision was mine and mine alone.
I had a good game, and I just could not believe the next morning when I heard that.
In the last game of the season, Campbell wondered if his time had come too.
He broke a run, and he got to the 10-yard line, and he slowed up, and a guy caught him from behind. And they booed him. He ain't never been booed. Ain't never deserved to be booed either.
He called home and he said, Renee, I think that I'm going to have to retire. I can't get through the hole fast enough now. I've lost some steps. It's time for me to move aside and let the younger man come in.
Earl Campbell left the game a humbled Saint, but he will always be remembered as the best of Bum's bunch, the greatest Oiler of all time.
I never once dreamed that I would one day get voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I wish there was some way where all those guys involved in that offensive line that I could bring to Canton, Ohio with me. Unfortunately, Bum Phillips won't play y'all playing fair.
Bum had been the father Earl was missing. He traded up to draft him, turned the Texas hero into an NFL star, gave him one last chance to shine in New Orleans, and presented him in Canton.
I've got a lot of memories, been around a long time. When I stop and think about it, Earl Campbell, you are my greatest memory of all.
The one thing I'll always remember about this day, beyond football, is that my daddy, B.C. Campbell, is up there in heaven, I believe, with all his buddies. And he's telling him what a great son he had. Look at my son, I know he can handle it. And I thank you all so much. Everything.
Still to come, Earl Campbell faces his greatest challenge. Most people know Earl Campbell as a football hero.
Yes, you actually smiled. Thank you so much.
Some know him as a successful businessman. But very few know that the man who refused to go down during his football career is still standing now, thanks to that same fighting spirit. And the many obstacles he had to overcome were much more challenging than anything he faced on the football field.
The very first time I started having health problems, I was at the ranch and I was painting, I was having fun, and I just went to get another bucket of paint, and something popped in my back.
This is the superhuman. Nothing can go wrong with Pop. Hearing him scream and cry in the middle of the night, but there was nothing that I could do as a son to make my dad feel better. All he could do was lay motionless, ask me not to touch him. Come on, man, it's the most helpless feeling. You see somebody crying and you can't do anything for him.
Earl underwent 4 back surgeries, but the pain only increased.
Here I am sitting in South Texas. I have a brand new 270 with me. And I started saying, gee, I know how to end all of this. But I had an uncle do that. His wife was laying next to him in the bed. And instead of turning the gun towards the way she was laying, he turned the gun the opposite way so he wouldn't hurt her. I tried to remember that over the years. And I don't know, I got to think about my children because I know how I was raised without a father. And he didn't run like that. So why would you do that, Earl? That's a coward way out. It's nothing that bad in life.
He'd been in a wheelchair 6 years, and I said, there's got to be some way that we can do something about him being in that wheelchair.
Bum kept telling me that Earl needed help, and would I help him? And I said, sure, I'll help him. I'd love to see him. So he came in, and he was in a wheelchair. And I looked, and wow, he's in a wheelchair. I said, oh, Earl, let me see you get up and walk. Let me see what you can do. I can't. And I said, you can't walk at all? No, I can't walk. And I kind of took a back face and thought, wow, I didn't know Earl was that bad.
It turned out the great Earl Campbell had a genetic condition called spinal stenosis.
Spinal stenosis is a narrowing of the spinal cord canal. You have compression of the nerves all the time. He had spinal stenosis when he was in his 20s, I'm sure. If he had had an acute blow to the spine, it could have caused paralysis.
Past surgeries had worsened his condition.
He had 12 screws in his back. Every time he moved, one of those screws was hitting a nerve. And when you hit a nerve in the spinal canal, it's really, really painful.
Dr. Jones performed Campbell's 5th and last spinal operation. Earl's back was finally on the mend. But during a public appearance in 2009, he found out the backbone of the Campbell family, his mother, was in her final hours.
My dad cries, he weeps for about an hour. Then he says, son, let's go. We got an autograph and appearance that we have to do. I'm saying, Pop, why don't we just go home now? We still got time. If we land now, we can go home and see Grammy before. He's saying, nah, my mother would have never wanted me to stop. I have a job to do. And my dad goes out and does a personal appearance, about 2,000 people smiling, taking pictures, laughing, joking. And we get home from Cleveland and we get the news. My dad's mother has passed away.
Earl's mother was gone, and his own health problems had taken a dangerous turn.
You start seeing the mixture with the alcohol and painkillers, and you start getting a different person as well.
And that was when bottom fell from under the sky, and people would see him out and they'd be like, man, he's not in the best shape. He seems out of it. He's not coherent.
Gee, y'all don't have to get so quiet. It teaches you about little bitty things like about, and I'm 50-something now, and I think I got a few things to prove it if you look at me real good.
So one day he called me and he said, I got to have some more medicine, man. I'm dying. I'm hurting. And I said, well, we've done everything we can do. It's going to get better. He said, well, you just don't understand. It hurts so bad. Well, he's really kind of slurring his speech, and he wasn't communicating appropriately. So I immediately got on the phone with the family, and I told Christian and Tyler that we need to help your dad.
One of the things that was really hard is that he felt like he didn't have a problem.
I got this. I know what to do about this.
I started trying to get involved in the meat business, so I would spend more and more time with my dad, and I would see him, you know, mixing the beer with the pain pills. And I think it's one thing to actually, like, hear stuff, but then to see stuff. Mom was like, yo, you gotta do something. I can't speak to him. I called up my brother and said, man, we gotta do something, because if we don't, we're gonna lose our father.
Christian said, Dad, we got to talk to you. I said, yeah, about what? I said, Renee, you know what they're talking about? She said, listen to your boys.
And I'm nervous, I'm kind of sweating bullets, because I'm thinking, you know, you gotta understand my dad at that time, mood swings out the door. I mean, he'll curse at you in a minute, you know.
Christian says, Tyler, you tell him. Tyler said, no, you tell him. Christian said, no, you tell him.
Honestly, I didn't know what to say. But my brother said it all.
Do whatever you want this day, because tomorrow you're going to get some help.
If you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to be like Michael Jackson. I said, what are you talking about? I said, dead. I said, huh? I said, yes, Dad, you're going to die. I'm saying, what are you guys talking about? I said, Dad, you know what you're doing. You know. You're going to go to this place, Dad, and get some help. Man, I've had a lot of great moments in life, but that's got to be the lowest point of my life that day. Your children, you're supposed to set an example for. Your children, you're supposed to be the leader. But to have those boys talk to me like that was unbelievable. And I tell them all the time, as much as I can, you never have to give Dad another present. You saved my life.
Coming up, the happiest man in Texas takes the field one more time.
What's it going to mean to you to get out of that car and walk to the coin flip today?
It's one step closer to, if it's such thing as living normal. That's what I want to do, is being able to get around like you all do, you know.
How you feeling?
Hey, man, no problem.
He's
suspect, homie.
You see, it's so hard to stay humble. You see that name way up there? That's hard to be humble when all that's going on.
Yeah.
Attention fans, tonight's coin toss will be executed by Texas All-American and Heisman Trophy winner, the great Earl Campbell. Earl has been a warrior on and off the field, conquering life's challenges with the same rigor as he did rushing the ball. Fans, let's give a huge and hearty show of support. Hook 'em horns, Earl, and keep up the great progress.
You know what? That's still good. All right, Coach, what's up?
You're the best. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
You want me to help you?
No, they got it.
This is the real Earl Campbell story. The body has overcome years of agony and addiction. And the man will be remembered for his greatness rather than the challenges he faced.
He's something special. There have been some great backs come along, but I can tell you now, he is at the top of that. You can be great and not be as good as Earl Campbell.
He's one of those people that you can't forget. I'll always love him, It's just that way. And it wasn't because he's a great football player as much as it was because of who he was and the way his outlook was on life and the way he did things.
Throw all the football stuff out the window. You can keep it. You can keep the sports memorabilia, the jerseys, the helmets, the Hall of Fame rings. To me, he's just Pop. He's just the old man, as we call him. That's Earl Campbell to me.
He took as much punishment as he gave out. But today, Earl Campbell is still standing. And he's doing it with a smile.
I guess the problems I've had a little bit with my health, people see some pictures and they thought that was the end of the world. Look what football did to our man. Well, don't do that. Please, America, don't feel sorry for me. Because you never seen a human being or heard of a human being that have more fun on a day-to-day basis than I do. I'll never swim Kern River again. I grew up in an oil town, but my gusher never came in. I may swim in deep waters, but I'll never swim Kern River again. Hey, come on over. You was trying to get a picture a while ago. All y'all come on over. Let's have some fun. Now we don't have to work. Yes, great. I'm ready to stand. Yeah. I need to stand.